Unfortunately, I had a stutter. I was simply unable to spit the words out to express myself. My mother took me to a speech therapist who taught me to slow down and pause before I spoke. I overcame my stutter, and now I'm just known for my long pauses. Having experienced the frustration of a speech impediment, believe me when I say that language matters. I can now transfer a complex idea from my brain into yours. I do this by converting the idea into a series of sounds selected from the 44 sounds in the English language. After producing the sounds with my mouth, they travel via sound waves to your eardrums, where they're converted back into electrical signals. All going well, the idea is recreated in your brain. Let's give this a go. Can you picture a baboon with a balloon riding a motorcycle like a hoon across a sand dune? You haven't seen one, but you can do it. Language matters because it allows us to communicate complex ideas. And as you'll hear, it also changes how we think and what we feel. Language is a set of agreed linguistic conventions. It consists of symbols with a form and a meaning, allowing us to communicate meaning using symbols. Humans communicate at 39 bits per second, or 2 words a second. Less if you stutter, or if you mutter. In comparison, a 5G mobile phone can transfer information at 20 gigabits per second. That's 20 complete Encyclopedia Britannica sets every single second. So, until we get microchips embedded in our heads, we'll continue to drip, feed, communicate using language. That's why we try to pack more meaning in and squeeze more meaning out of our language, with some interesting consequences. Earlier, someone told me to break a leg. Now here I am bending over backwards, trying not to stuff it up. Even the order of words changes their meaning. For example, it's not the size of the dog in the fight, it's the size of the fight in the dog. One of the most powerful innovations in language is the metaphor. Many years ago, I was camping with my dad and trying to stuff the tent into the undersized tent bag when my dad said to me, "That's a bit like trying to put a condom on an elephant." I'd never tried putting a condom on an elephant, but somehow I knew exactly what he meant. I smile now whenever I pack a tent as I think about my long-gone dad and the elephant. That's what a good metaphor does. It sticks an idea and the associations with that idea into our heads. Humans speak around 7,000 languages, and it turns out that the language we speak changes how we think. The Kooktaiore Aboriginal people live on the west coast of Cape York. In their language, they have no words for left and right. Instead, everything is expressed in the cardinal directions of north, south, east and west. They'd say things like, "There's a tiger snake near your southwest foot," and "Could you move your cup to the northeast?" Rather than saying "hello," they'd say, "What direction are you headed?" And they answer, "North in the far distance. How about you?" As you can imagine, the Coupe-Tailleur are extraordinarily well oriented. Let's do a quick experiment. Please close your eyes. Now point to the northeast. Now you can open your eyes. Well, you haven't helped me a lot with my orientation, but you have demonstrated that in our language and culture, we're not very well oriented. Language matters because it changes how we think. Mathematics is a language too. It allows us to think about abstract concepts. Without it, what would the square root of 4 mean? Language can even change how we feel. When my wife Naomi became pregnant again, my 5-year-old son Bobby was thrilled at the prospect of having a younger brother. But 12 weeks into the pregnancy, Naomi felt something was wrong. I took her into hospital. Shortly afterwards, she miscarried. Can you imagine having to take Bobby into hospital to see his mother and explain what had become of his baby brother? 1 in 4 pregnancies end in miscarriage. Families deal with that grief in isolation because it's swept under the carpet. I share my story because using language, I can help to change that. If I were to scan your brains in an MRI during this story, I'd see similar patterns. The mirror neurons in your brain are reflecting what's happening in mine. But you're not just thinking what I'm thinking, you're feeling what I'm feeling. If I were to sample your blood, I detect higher levels of the cuddle hormone, oxytocin, produced when people bond socially. Language matters because humans are social creatures, and language allows us to socially bond. Tonight, you've heard that language is a sophisticated tool that allows us to communicate abstract ideas. But it also changes how we think and what we feel. I'll finish with a poem I wrote because thanks to language and speech therapy, I can. It touches our hearts and connects our minds. Language matters. It allows us to think about abstract ideas. Language matters. Because it exists, we are not alone. Language matters.